BCHQ Discussion Time episode 48. Response for Johnny Gunz. Shout out Johnny. Athlete activism. Should athletes get involved in political and social issues? If so, how much should they be involved? Will it affect their branding, sponsorship, etc. positively or negatively? Right, there's a hell of a lot of questions in this, so I'm just going to get to these ones first. Right, it depends. Like, you can't have someone like Michael Vick or Floyd Mayweather, John Jones and people like that they want to like sponsor charities and get involved in charities and be a role model or spokesperson or an ambassador or something for it, and then they're getting like failed drug tests, like flashing their millions of money they've got on their social medias. Michael Vick with the fucking cruelty to animals and that shit. You can't have it both ways. You can't try and say you're about something to help the community or children or whatever it is, and then you're doing this other shit on the side. Like, you can't do that. So it depends on what sort of person you are. Like, it's not going to work unless you're like a down to earth person that doesn't get big headed, doesn't let the money get to them, and just carries on as they are. Like, and they know that people know that they can trust them because they're not in the media for bad shit. And so that's for how much I think they should be involved. Will it affect their brand and sponsorship? Or, well, this is another thing. Like, as I said, if you're like Michael Vick or Floyd Mayweather, or it is going to affect your whatever you've got going on, because it's negative attention, and if it gets out, then you're in shit. So that's my thoughts on that. Should we care what athletes think on political and social issues? Again, you're not really going to take on board what someone says about money, or like say Floyd Mayweather, for instance, if he's going on about communities need money being put into them and children need help and shit like that. It's no good unless you are doing that. I mean, even if he puts money into it, there's no good doing that and then going on your social media and just flaunting like your new jet you just bought or your new fucking yacht, or like, it just doesn't work. So it depends on, again, what you're known like to the media and the world, like just the world. Politics, there's not really what I'm aware of too many athletes involved in politics. And I think it's a good thing. Like, a lot of athletes are actually pretty dumb. Like, they're just good at being athletes. They're not like intellectual people. And yeah, like, I think you'll find that out from interviews and stuff if you check them out. So I don't think they should be getting involved in politics, to be honest. Do they have a kind of duty to use their popularity to speak up about injustices, or would be asking too much for them? After all, they just want to compete in their sport and earn millions of dollars. There was solidarity among players when getting rid of the former Clippers owner Donald Sterling. Like, that is a good example. Like, they definitely rallied together as a squad, and like, they wore the warm-up shirts, or that might have been where they refused to wear something about the warm-up shirts, and they all sort of stuck together, which is good to see. I do think it's important, again, you've got to have a good image, to be like an ambassador if it's something you're rallying for and wanting it out there in the world, and to fight against what's going on with what the general consensus is. If you want to challenge that, it's no good. You have to be just a decent person. Forget being an athlete for a moment. You just need to be a decent human being first and foremost, and then I think you'll get people gravitating towards whatever your movement is. Also, players write stuff on their sneakers about Eric Garner and other victims of police. They might have a t-shirt under their jerseys about the Paris shootings, all kind of ways to put themselves in issues, usually offering condolences, a show of sympathy, but things could be more political. Again, they need to think before they get involved in these sort of things. Like, because once you start getting involved in it, people are going to demand things of you because you're out there and you've got more money than they've got. So there's a lot of pressure on you. And remember, this is outside of the pressure of whatever part of your season you're into in your sport and shit like that. So that's added pressure on top of everything else. If you're like a basketball player and you've got the playoffs or something, and then you're getting involved in something like Paris shootings and shit, like, people are gonna want more interviews from you and like just more like slots on TV and like to talk about it. So it's whether you want that added pressure and have that time taken away from you to, if you feel strongly enough about it. But that's something you've got to think about before you get involved. Like, you can't say something and then get annoyed with the media and the paparazzi and shit like that when you've already said something, because now you're in a trap. So that's my thoughts on that. I do think it's good when they show like respect to people that have passed away, like shootings and things like that. I do think that's good because it puts it out there for people that might not necessarily have heard of what's happened and what's going on, and it just spreads the word. So I do think that that's a positive thing. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Muhammad Ali threw his gold medal into the Ohio River and refused to be conscripted into the army to fight the Viet Cong. No Vietnamese ever called me the N-word. And that's it. Brilliant question, Johnny. Like, you got me on my toes on this one. Like, I had to put this one off for quite a bit because just the amount of things you added in there. So shout out to you, Johnny. Shout out to everyone supporting. They don't want to fuck with the real ones.